The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Every day, citizens around the country are faced with new dilemmas. Dilemmas that affect them profoundly. Whether it's injustice, discrimination, falling through the cracks, scandals and cronyism, balances of power, ethics, religious freedoms, state versus citizens, and unfunded mandates, and the list goes on and on and on. Welcome to Speak Up. It's directed at those who have fallen through the cracks, and it gives them a voice. It's your turn to speak up. To stand up and fight back.
Welcome to Speak Up. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and today we have a couple of guests who work for a company that everybody in the community knows here in New Hampshire as well as in Massachusetts, Market Basket. If you've driven by them lately, you've noticed that there are a lot of people outside protesting saying, don't shop here. And what is important to note is that these are some of the employees. And so we've asked a couple of people from Market Basket to come on the show to tell the story, what's going on, and give us a little background from their perspective. And I'd like to introduce Gail and Caleb. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Caleb, you've been with Market Basket for some years now, over 20 years?
20 years, yes.
20 years, and you're in the management here in Nashua, in one of the local stores.
Yeah, I'm at the new Amherst Street store, the newest store in Nashua.
Right, and Gail, you work in the produce department?
Meat department.
Meat department.
Yep.
And you've worked there for?
24 years.
So you're very, very familiar with what's going on. Now, I have to make a confession, and I'll do it on air. Yesterday, I was at Hannaford's, and I was in the overflow department, and they're a little bit closer to the house, but it was kind of a solidarity, working, in solidarity with what's going on, because we've shopped at Market Basket for years as well, and it's part of the community. It really is a big part of the community. And I walked in today, and the place was bare. I mean, I walked in and I actually looked at you and I said, I'm sorry, but I need to shop here today. And my budget needed me to shop there. As I'm walking through the aisles, I'm seeing that they're not stocked. I looked at the meat department. There was no meat. There was no produce. What is going on? And there were no people. Usually you're fighting to go through the aisles. And some of the little old ladies are cutting you off. And
Right.
What's going on?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but what's going on today is that this is the last place that we want to be, is here at this point. The last thing, if you told me a few weeks ago that I'd be telling you thank you for going to Hannaford yesterday, I wouldn't have believed it. I've grown up in this company. My father's worked there for 35 years. I've worked there for 20 years, and unfortunately, this is the culmination of what's been going on the last year, especially. It goes back a lot further than that in the Demoulas family, but essentially about a month ago, they fired Arthur T Demoulas, the man that has run this company. He's worked for the company for 41 years, I believe. His father, T Demoulas, started this company, and they fired him about 4 weeks ago. And then they also...
What was the reason for them firing him?
Their reason was that they accused him of reckless spending, accused him of not having enough profits. The reckless spending was on opening new stores and building new stores and continuing to remodel, just like you see on the Amherst Street store, the other store down the other end of the plaza, an older store, tired, outdated, and he has continued to reinvest in the company and to grow this company, especially in the last 12 to 15 years. We've had a huge growth.
It's nice when you walk in and you turn to your right, there's a place where you can go to the deli, you can sit down, you can have a cup of coffee.
Right.
You can socialize. There's a spirit of an atmosphere. Well, this is new. It's modern. It's uplifting. It makes you enjoy your shopping there. It really does.
And the other thing is he did it with no debt.
Right.
No debt. So how can they say that it's reckless spending?
Right. And is part of the reckless spending that little orange thing that you write at the end of when you get that little ticket and it says, well, here's your 4% savings?
No, that's something new that happened within the last year. That was after because they initially tried to remove Arthur T Demoulas as CEO a year ago, almost exactly 1 year ago, and they tried to remove him. Basically, there was a shift in power on the board. There's a board of directors that runs Market Basket. The family is split into two, basically. So the other side of the family owns 51% or controls 51%, and Arthur T Demoulas and his family controls 49%. However, during the last 12 to 15 years, one member of the other side of the family has voted with us on that board of directors. And a year ago, she switched sides, and that shifted the power in Market Basket to the other side of the family, the side of the family that, frankly, none of us know, that none of us have worked for or seen in my 20 years. You've never seen them, I don't think.
No.
And in her 24 years, or in my father's 35 years, we've never seen these people. They don't work. And that all stemmed from a split in the family of their fathers, George Demoulas and Telemachus Demoulas.
And so now you have people that you don't know that are running it, and obviously they're not involved with the community as much as...
And frankly, they're not even involved with the company. They have a board of directors, and what they did with the day that they fired Arthur T Demoulas 4 weeks ago is that they hired 2 CEOs from outside the company. So for the first time I think the first Market Basket was opened in 1917. So the first store that was opened by Arthur's grandfather. So in 1917, so in almost 100 years, there's never been anybody other than a Demoulas sitting at the head of this company. And 3 weeks ago, they hired 2 co-CEOs, Felicia Thornton and Jim Gooch, one from Minnesota, one from Oregon, completely unattached to this company, flew in, and those are who are in charge of the company. Frankly, the other side of the company, Arthur S. Demoulas, has no desire to run this company. His desire is to get more money out of the company, and he's hired 2 outsiders to run it.
Is there any possibility that with all this activity that's going on, that the powers could shift back over, or?
Well, that certainly is our goal. I mean, our goal is for Arthur T Demoulas to be back in charge of this company where he should be. Arthur T Demoulas has worked this company his whole life. He works every day. He's in the office 60, 70 hours a week.
A lot of hours.
Yeah.
And you met him?
Yes,
Now, how many stores are there?
71.
71.
And you've met him?
Yep. I did 2 grand openings. I did one in Nashua 39, and I just did my second one, Nashua 43. They're right down the street from each other, and he was at both of them.
And there's one up in the Concord area. I mean,
We have 2 in
Concord.
Concord.
Yeah,
We have 2 in
yeah.
Concord. There's 2 stores in Concord, a smaller one and a larger one within a couple miles of each other.
How many are in New Hampshire alone?
You know what? That's a good question. There's 71. We have 1 in Maine, and the bulk there in Massachusetts, I'd say 25 in New Hampshire, something like that.
Yeah.
And you're not union,
No,
We are not.
we're not union.
and yet in solidarity, the community has come out and basically have supported you, because nobody can keep the people away.
None.
Those aisles were empty. There were 1 or 2 people, and frankly, I'm going to, honestly, I was behind one other lady, and I said, I feel bad that I'm here, but I have to shop here because my budget, I do all the food shopping in the house.
Right.
And she said, well, I feel the same way, but I had to stock up on her. She had hot dogs.
Yeah.
And she bought 21 packages of hot dogs. She really did. It's,
And were they beef market basket? Probably.
Gail probably put those on the shelf. That's her aisle.
well,
Yeah.
it's funny because she had to have that particular stuff, and she said, I just saved a whole bunch of money, but I can't afford to go to one of the other stores. And what drew me to is the fact that the community is actually saying, we support you. And they're not controlled by a union. There's no union bosses. This is everybody saying, yeah, we love you. We love this store. We love this community.
I think the biggest thing that's unique about Market Basket is that we're a family, and a lot of people have kind of had a hard time understanding that these last few days, and they're starting to get it. But we also include our customers in that family. We have the best customers, and they're extremely loyal. They're as loyal to us as we are to Arthur T Demoulas, and they see what we see. They see an attack on our family, and they see an attack on their way of life, which is the low prices that we've been able to offer these communities for so many years. Arthur T Demoulas has been able to keep these prices low. Frankly, it hasn't helped his pocketbook. He's been able to keep them low, and there are things that we hold the prices on that sometimes we're not making a lot of money on. But over the years, Arthur has said we're going to hold the price on that because people are struggling. There's been it's something that our customers have been very loyal to us. I mean, we have we're in the line that we always get from Arthur T Demoulas is that we're in the people business first. We just happen to sell groceries, and
Right.
we have in our store, in the Nashua store, I have over 400 employees in that store alone. Market Basket, the 71 stores, has 25,000 employees. This is New Hampshire, it is Massachusetts, this is the community.
Right.
And most people have a connection to us.
Absolutely. I mean, you have...
Somehow, some way, they have a connection.
Yeah, I've seen, everybody, all your stalkers, they communicate with you on a very personal level. You have a lady, she's ex-Air Force. She's one of the stalk. She absolutely very pleasant. She will help you find anything at any time and have a conversation. You go to the teller. I don't know their names personally, but they're very personable. Everything to the baggers, which will actually give you the fist pumps. They'll have conversations. Actually, one of the baggers was actually running out to the parking lot. He had flowers in his hands. And I said, that's a good, just don't forget doing that. And he walks over and gives me a fist pump, right? And, it was just, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I was really,
We put smile on people's faces once they come down and see us, and we're all smiling, and they're like, what's she so happy for? What's going on in her life? She's really liking this?
Right, right. And so now my concern is there are those that are out there picketing.
Yes.
What's going to happen to them?
I guess I can't answer that for you right now. I mean, we as a group on Sunday, the next round happened Sunday, frankly. So the men that were fired, Arthur T Demoulas was fired about 3.5 weeks ago, like I stated. Also at the same time, Joe Rockwell was fired as well as Bill Marsden. The vice presidents of the company, one was in charge of operations, one was in charge of grocery. Those men each had, I believe, 50 years each, over 50 years with the company. They fired them in a moment without even thinking second thought of it. And then over the course of the last 3 weeks, there's certainly been some resistance from the rest of us. And on Sunday, by courier, they fired 10 more people, pretty much gutted our main office. They pretty much fired, for me personally, everybody that I've worked for my whole life.
The people that you look up to every day,
Yeah.
the people that make it happen, We all make it happen, but they're the ones that come down and say, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to work together.
And these are people, the biggest, my favorite thing, I always say my favorite thing about Market Basket as an employee is that we promote from within. And that's been such a, the men that got fired, and frankly, I should mention that a few other left in protest as well. They resigned. Mr. Miamis, 79 years at Market Basket, I believe it was. He started when he was 10 years old in Lowell selling the lamb. A few other managers also left in protest because they had fired their bosses. But all of these men and women worked at Market Basket as kids, just like we did. They started at 14, 15, Mr. Miamis at 10 years old, and worked their entire careers. They worked their way up through the company.
Is he the tall, skinny guy?
I'm not sure which guy you're thinking of, but...
He's tall, skinny.
Got the glasses.
You know. He would come around at Thanksgiving, Christmas, even any other, but he would come around Thanksgiving and Christmas and shake everybody's hand and say Merry Christmas and, hope your family's happy, safe, have a nice holiday.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. And that's the other thing is Mr. Rockwell always used to come in, and when I was in 39, not to change the subject or anything, but when Mr. Rockwell came into 39 and he met me, he used to call me Freddie's girl. I was Freddie's girl. Freddie Firth, which he's a longtime meat manager. He just retired last year. But he was always said, there's a good woman behind a good manager. And he would call me Freddie's girl.
All right. And that was endearing.
Yeah, it was. It was endearing. I really, it was just really appreciated. And even when I got switched down the street and he's like, hey, what are you doing here? But he still called me Freddie's girl. So
you remembered. And that means a lot. That really means a lot. One of the things I'm concerned with now, when you win, because there's no way that this can sustain itself. There's no way.
No.
And people are they can withstand this for so long. will there be any repercussions for those who have stayed behind and just kind of are operating now? I mean, are there any
Frankly,
bad feelings at all with that? Or?
I don't think I can name 5 people that have stayed behind.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are in the stores right now are we're taking turns basically because we want to take care of our customers. The customers like yourself that choose to shop there, that's their choice, and I respect that choice. I certainly understand that. But I had cashiers on registers today for those people, but we're taking turns basically. Right. So our goal is to we're not going to lock our doors. We're going to be there to take care of our customers like we always have.
Right.
And so frankly, I can't think of more than 2 or 3 names off the top of my head in the corporate office or in a store that are not with us. Right. So frankly, there's when Arthur T Demoulas comes back, I think the first thing that he'll do is reinstate all the men and women that were let go. But there's nobody to have repercussions against because we're all in.
Okay, that was a concern because some people the lights are still on. And
and that's something we've decided amongst ourselves. We've decided, this has been a, use the word grassroots movement, but something that started from the bottom. But we've decided amongst ourselves. I mean, there's no, we're not being directed by anyone. We've decided amongst ourselves and through our, some of our websites, and we'll talk about that. But this is something that we've decided amongst ourselves, and I have not had one person come to me and say I don't want to participate in this.
It's curious is we saw it on one of the news networks, and we thought, wow, that's mass. That's amazing. Look at all those people. That entire parking lot was packed.
Yeah,
Yep.
we were there.
And when you didn't think that would be the same thing in your own backyard. And are all the stores in the same situation? I mean, what I mean by that is, are they all as empty? Are they all?
Yep.
Yeah. To our knowledge, her husband works at another store. My father works at another store. I have some very good friends. Market Basket tend to move around. I've only been in Nashville for about a year. Before that, I opened the Londonderry store, big store in Londonderry. I've been in the Seacoast before that, so we tend to move around. So we have a lot of friends and contacts throughout this company. Right. But I have a lot of people I talk to, and I made sure I turned my phone off before I started because it hasn't stopped buzzing. But I've talked to a lot of guys in a lot of stores, and as well as we mentioned that Facebook page. And you see store after store after store after store, and if you look on that Facebook page, you will see photos of all of them.
What is the name of the Facebook? Is it just Market Basket?
No, it's Save Market Basket. That's our Facebook page for Facebook users. If you go on that, that's kind of our unofficial, official site of the employees.
Please hit like.
Please. It's been 17,000 likes for almost this whole year, and I checked today it was 60,000 likes, and that's happened in the last 3 days.
So this really has been brewing for a while.
Yep.
It has, yes.
And now it's come to a head, and now in solidarity, the communities everywhere are supporting you. That's a phenomenon. Nobody's pushed anybody to do this. Everybody, and you know what? Really, it's hurting everybody's pocketbook because the economy isn't really the best right now.
Right.
And people are still willing to make that extra sacrifice. I made it yesterday, but I couldn't. I had to go in today. I'm sorry.
Well,
That's okay. We're forgiving
Yeah,
you.
well, whatever. But
Customers were saying it all day. I'm sorry, but I have to just get this thing and that I can't get at Hannaford's or Shaw's,
Can you imagine 21 packages of hot dogs? It was comical. We laughed at each other, but we had the solidarity there as well because I have a feeling that when this all resolves itself, you're going to even be stronger.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm not surprised. Frankly, I'm not surprised. Because, like I said, we have an extremely loyal customer base.
Right.
They have been very, very good to us. And we have tried to reciprocate that. But I'm not surprised, frankly.
Yeah.
I knew our customers would stand with us if we asked them to.
We've
tried not to.
Right.
We've been asked repeatedly on that Facebook page and on some other stuff. We've been asked, how can we help?
Yeah,
Should we
it is.
boycott? And we've asked them not to. And they've been there for us. And we have sent signatures, we have had petitions, we have had letter writing campaigns, we have reached out to these people, and we've been ignored for a year.
Just ignored, totally
So
ignored.
When people make comments on Facebook, I mean, are there things like, does the trustees have enough money? I mean, is this the problem? When is it enough?
They're certainly not starving. Over the last 10 years, the profits to that side has been over $500 million.
And there's no, hey, listen, this is the American dream. Capitalism works.
Yep.
This is also capitalism, and it's working in that the people have spoken. And nobody's forcing anybody's hand, no feds, nobody's coming in,
No.
the state's not coming in. This is the people speaking up. And it seems to be working.
we just have a special affinity, not just for Arthur T Demoulas, but for our company. You know, it's something that's so ingrained in us. I talk about it all the time. I'm 35 years old, and I always talk about how I've worked here for 20 years, but I've been growing up here for 34 years, as long as I could walk. And even before that, probably I was in these stores with my father, running around these stores when I was 2 years old. You know, most of us met our spouses there.
Did they used to put sawdust down on some of the...
Yeah, you know, sometimes we still do that if we got a bad wine spill or breakage or something.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It works. It works well. It's kind of the old school, but it's, you know,
Yeah.
old school works for us too. It's something that Market Basket's always done. But it's something special about it. You know, there's something special about the community of Market Basket and the family. And Arthur T Demoulas, you know, I described it yesterday as some people look at me like I'm a little kid talking about Santa Claus. Like, you think he's going to come back? Really? You know, you really believe? And I do believe it. You know, I've worked for the man 20 years, and I have no doubt that he's working every waking hour right now to get himself back.
I was just going to ask you that. Is he proactive as far as, you know, do the people want me? I'll stand up. He got fired, but isn't he still a shareholder?
Yeah,
He made a comment yesterday, his first comment since this has all been done, and he's like, rehire my people.
Yeah, he said that, I believe his quote was, "This is not about me."
Yeah.
It's about those people and, you know, the people in the business that he loves that his father started. But he's been silent. I think he's got some legal reasons he needs to be silent right now. But yeah, his side of the family, him, his sisters and his mother, they own 49% of the company. He is the largest single shareholder. He owns, I want to say 14%, but he's the largest single shareholder. But his family owns 49% of the company. So he was fired as CEO and president.
Caleb, why was some of the management fired?
I believe they were fired because they spoke out against the board that fired Arthur T Demoulas 3.5, 4 weeks ago when they let Arthur T Demoulas go. And then when those men watched their mentors leave, fired Joe Rockwell, Belmars, as well as the men that walked out after that, those people that got fired on Sunday have not been silent. And they have certainly pushed back. And a week and a half ago, the main office at Tewksbury, where our main office is headquartered in Tewksbury, Mass., about 130, 140 people work there. Basically the brains of the operation, you know, where all our trucks come out of, Tewksbury, everything comes out of Tewksbury. We have a perishable warehouse in Andover. But basically they met together about a week and a half ago on their own, and they decided that they were not going to work for these two people. And they called the two CEOs down to their meeting, and they told them that we're not going to work for you. We work for Arthur T Demoulas. Go tell the board. You have, I think they gave them 3 or 4 days. Go tell the board that we want Arthur T Demoulas reinstated, or we're not going to work. And that happened. And Thursday came when they had given them a deadline by 4 o'clock Thursday, and they met with them, and they did not meet their demands. So Friday morning they walked, and then they were fired on Sunday.
Wow.
Sunday, yeah.
So
by courier, by the way.
Yeah, not by face.
Nope. On Sunday afternoon, they
courier.
each received a packet from a courier. Each of these men who have given 40, 50 years each to this community of Market Basket. 3 of them, their packages were given to them by their children. The courier gave their package to their children to let them know that they had been terminated from Market Basket. And I believe it's because they spoke up and because they gave them an ultimatum, and because on Friday they walked out of the office and said we're going to work for Arthur T Demoulas.
I was eavesdropping on when I was towards the end of my my excursion today, and one of your associates was talking to one of the customers, and I could overhear him saying that there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of produce that have just perished. That it's just sitting there, it's not being delivered. Nobody's delivering. Nobody's stocking the shelves. What happens to what happens to the flow? I mean, obviously it's shutting down. Your suppliers are going to say, well, how long is this going to happen?
Right.
Will they still continue when you get reinstated to give you the same deals, or are they going to go somewhere else?
I honestly can't speak to the operation at Tewksbury as well as I can speak to the operations at the stores. I've never worked in the main office. I've never worked in the warehouse. I've been there. It's a massive, amazing building. The cases they pump out over a year, I believe it's in the millions over a year that they pump out of that warehouse. There are hundreds of workers there. But I really can't speak exactly to how that works. I've never worked there. Certainly the flow has been interrupted. I would say the average coming out of those 2 warehouses a day, I would say, is 200 to 300 trucks a day are coming out of there. So obviously that's going to be coming in there too. But I can't honestly speak to you about what's left at that warehouse at this point.
And here's the trickle-down effect. I mean, obviously it's going to hurt everybody's pocketbook. It's hurting the community. in other ways, I mean, doesn't the soup kitchen benefit from Market Basket? Don't they have perishables that end up going to the don't you have other charities that you give locally, don't you?
Again, not necessarily at store level. I mean, we work with a lot of people about putting together orders at store level. A couple different, in the community. We put together big orders for them. But all, any kind of charitable giving does come out of Tewksbury. So that happens out of Tewksbury. Whenever I'm approached by that, I know that the Demoulas family has been extremely generous. But that does all go through Tewksbury, so I guess I can't really speak to that.
Well, that's going to be interrupted, though. It has to be.
I think it would be. I think absolutely.
Yeah.
I think absolutely.
It's affecting everybody, and I just hope that this does turn around real soon. Would you like to make a plea to the people that are watching the show right now?
Yeah, I never believed that I would say this. I've always been a pro Market Basket guy, but we at this point have tried everything. We've tried speaking to them. We've tried petitions, we've tried phone calls, we've tried emails, we've reached out to the board members, we've reached out to the family members, and we've been ignored. So at this point, we, as Market Basket, we are Market Basket, and we ask you to boycott our stores. And we believe it'll only be for a week or two. That's what we believe. But at this point, this is our last-ditch effort, and these people seem to only understand money. They seem to only understand dollars and cents, and that's all they seem to care about is greed and money in their pockets. So I think this is where we need to be at this point. And
how can people get involved in support?
If you're a Facebook user, just go to the little magnifying glass at the top and search Save Market Basket. Make sure you go to the site that has, I think now, 60,000 likes on it.
Is that right?
I believe it's gone from 17,000 to 60,000 within this last week. Wow. So I believe if you're a Facebook user, that's the best spot. We also, if you're a non-Facebook user, we have a wearemarketbasket.com. That mirrors that site. You're not going to get all the comments that you're going to get. I like the Facebook site better for that reason because there's a lot of comments on the Facebook site. You get to see a lot more pictures because it's social media, it's interactive. So on the Facebook site, you see a lot more. But as far as the posts that some of us are putting up on those websites, wearemarketbasket.com would be for a non-Facebook user. And right now, that's, continue to attempt to reach 875 East Street. 875 East Street, Tewksbury, Mass. is the address of the main office. I believe there's only 2 people working in there right now, Felicia Thornton and Jim Gooch.
Flood the phones.
Yeah, I don't think they're answering them, but it's
yeah, they shut them down the other day.
1978-851-8000 is the main office's number. Frankly, I don't think they're answering them anymore.
Do they have an email address as well?
They shut those down.
They did?
Yeah, I think they were over flooded, so they shut those down. So currently, I don't have an email address I can give for them because I believe they've shut them down. But if you go on that Save Market Basket site, you're going to see some other contact information. And frankly, the other side of this whole thing is the board. The board, frankly, controls Market Basket right now. So the way that the board is split, and I don't want to get too inside baseball here, but the board, our side, Arthur T Demoulas' family, has 2 representatives on the board. This is the way the court set this up. The other side of the family has 2 representatives on the board, and then there are 3 independents. The independent board members, every vote in the last year since that person switched sides, just about every vote has been 5-2 against us. So all their contact information is on there as well. And some of those people, these are executives from around the country. They're not from here. One's in New York, Ohio, I think, but they're on there as well. But those board members, they don't live here, but they fly in for meetings. They get paid extremely well. But there is a meeting Friday, I believe, part of for them trying to deal with this, and it's their monthly meeting. But yeah, that board of directors is kind of the other spot. I mean, I don't want to let Felicia and the Gooch off the hook here, but
The Gooch?
The Gooch?
yeah, but James Gooch is the other CEO, the co-CEO. Yeah. Also, Forbes voted him the worst CEO of 2012, and when he worked for Radio Shack and took Radio Shack to where it is now. But anyway, our 2 illustrious CEOs, they were hired by the board. I mean, the board is Jim and Felicia don't have the power to return Arthur T Demoulas to us. The board does.
Okay.
They're CEOs. They were hired as CEOs to run this company. The board is frankly who needs to return Arthur T Demoulas to the head of this company.
And if they're concerned about the bottom line, then listen to the people.
Yeah, I think so. I think at this point, I think they're hearing us loud and clear. I mean, I'm not going to go into figures, but I think you could see it in my store today. I left at 5 o'clock. I generally leave 10 registers running at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, which is a slow day for us. And there were 2 running, and they weren't really running. They were standing there waiting.
There.
Right.
So yeah. I think they're going to hear us loud and clear.
That's amazing.
And not seeing the parking lot full. you can count how many cars are in the parking lot when it's normally packed at 5, from 3 to 6 is our busy time because people are getting out of work trying to grab something quick for dinner, you know?
I constantly make this statement over and over and over again as I'm going through the lines. You need traffic lights at the end of the aisle, right?
Yeah, come on.
You need a slow lane, you need a slow lane, you need a fast lane, and then...
Come on Sunday during football season, you're going to need more than traffic lights.
Exactly.
On a Sunday afternoon.
But that's how popular the store is, and it's grown, and it's a great success. I think this is a success showing how the communities are involved with this, and that the people are speaking, and this has to take its toll if they're interested in making money.
Well, I think that's what they are interested in, frankly, and so I think something has to give. We're not going to accept anything but Arthur T. Demoulas. I mean, it's hard for me to describe how much he means to this company and how much he means to us. But he is a person that walks in that door. Every time he sees me, he says, "Hi, Caleb." He says, "How's your wife? Your wife, Rachel, right? Your wife, Rachel. She, he thinks for me. She's still at the hospital, right? My wife's an RN at Exeter Hospital, and he remembers every time. And how are your kids? 2 children. He remembers every time. It's an amazing skill or gift. He walks through that store. It takes him 3-4 hours to get through that store because he stops and talks to all of his associates. He remembers most of them. He knows their families. He knows what they're going through. He talks to the kids, asks them, if they're going to go to school and what they're going to go to school for and what their aspirations are and what their dreams are. And he talks to the people. He talks to like you and I are talking. And it's something that's so rare for frankly, let's be honest, he's a billionaire who, runs a multi-billion-dollar company. And he takes the time to talk to his associates and to reach out. And I think that's why we all feel so passionate because, Mr. D, he knows who we are.
That sparks hope in everybody, especially if they remember your name.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Caleb?
Yep.
And Gail?
Yep.
I'm horrible with names, but
That's okay.
I'm glad that you came on the show to talk about what's going on.
Thank you for having us. And thank you to our customers. And we wouldn't be here without our customers in the position that we're in and what they've done for us in the last 24 hours since we as a group decided that this is what we need to do. It really hasn't surprised me, but it's been amazing. The response has been amazing and humbling. I think it's been humbling because so many people, even like yourself, who crossed our lines. Thank you. But even those that but they were with us. They were with us, and they understood what we were doing. And they asked who they could call or what else they could do, and we wouldn't be here without our customers. Right. We wouldn't.
I apologize going in and coming out. And then it looked like a third world country in there. It really did. I was amazed.
And it's sad too. I mean, we're not. This is killing us. It's everything.
Because we're used to stocking the shelves, making it look like it's a grand opening every day because we just go through so much product every day. You can't even fathom.
We're there in our household at least a couple of times a week, and I was in the vegetable aisle and I was looking for the pickled beets, and I actually had to go around the corner to find my particular product. And I used to look at the aisles. Everything is so neat. I mean, it's like my house. It's just everything is in perfect order. Yeah. And it was just so disheveled. No, the aisles weren't packed. The things weren't in the right spot. And I'm looking, wow, this alone is a disaster. Especially if you got ACD or whatever it is.
Yeah, and
we're probably pretty close because that's how we've been brought up and trained. I mean, we leave that place neat as a pin every day, and our goal is to keep it that way throughout the day. And it's killing us. It's not easy. It's killing us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show again.
Thank you for having us.
And look for this on Facebook and on YouTube and everywhere you can find it. Let's make a difference. Until next week, thanks for watching Speak Up. We appreciate you watching the show. If you would like to be a guest on Speak Up, please contact me at speakupnh@gmail.com. We'll help you be heard.
Every day, citizens around the country are faced with new dilemmas that affect them profoundly. Whether it's injustice, discrimination, falling through the cracks, scandals and cronyism, balances of power, ethics, religious freedoms, state versus citizens, and unfunded mandates, and the list goes on and on and on. Welcome to Speak Up. It's directed at those who have fallen through the cracks, and it gives them a voice. It's your turn to speak up, to stand up and fight back.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.